Hi, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Scott Morris from GTS Distribution, and we're here with another one of our retailer to publisher webinars. Today, I'm joined by Alex and Susanna from Stonemaier Games. Stonemaier is one of our biggest partners, and GTS Distribution is actually the sole distributor for Stonemaier in the US market. Today, we're going to be talking about a new release. We're going to be talking about a new expansion. We're going to tease a little bit of information about some upcoming products. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Stonemaier Fortress program. So if you haven't heard about that or haven't engaged with that, this is a great opportunity to learn a little more, find out how you can engage with that program, and quite frankly, have an easier way of ordering products through GTS for Stonemaier products. But if this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining. If you're returning, welcome back. As always, if you're feeling exceptionally awesome, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and a like. You're welcome to subscribe to our channel so you can get notifications of when we have more webinars like this that are available for you. We do these for board games, we do them for role-playing games and accessories, all different types of products that you can carry in your store. But as I've always said, people don't really come here to see my face because my face was made for radio. So Alex, Susanna, thank you so much for joining and really appreciate you taking the time. Let's go ahead and kick it over to you guys to get started.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for having us.
Thank you.
Anytime, always.
And just as a warning, neither of our heads were made for radio, which means that Scott will sound way cooler than we will. Exactly. I promise in person. Susanna's the coolest of the three of us, honestly, but
for sure. Yes.
You're very kind.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to jump in. This is the part where I share a screen, right? All right. But first off, Susanna, you are going to jump in, right, and talk about
Libertalia, Winds of Gail Crest. I would love to. So I had the opportunity to play this a number of times in the last few weeks, first with my 10-year-old daughter as a 2-player game, and twice at Gamma with retailers. And I had not played the original Libertalia, but I have a pretty good handle on what makes this version different from the original version. And we are so excited about some of those changes. So I would love to tell you about those. The first thing is that you have a hand of 6 cards instead of a hand of 9 cards to start with. So it's a much more manageable introductory experience for people. And that's what we found. When we taught the game, it was super quick to get moving. People understood it really quickly. They read their 6 cards. They said, oh, wow, what's this going to do? Oh, yeah, fun. And then they start to play these mind games like, what are they going to play? What am I going to play? And then it just becomes fun. So you've got 6 cards and you have a shorter first round. So round 1 is 4 days. The first voyage is 4 days. Round 2 is 5 and round 3 is 6 days. So it ramps up really nicely as you're building your hand and interacting with each other and getting your loot. So it's very approachable. So it's about a half hour shorter is my understanding than the original Libertalia. The board, which you can see pieces of here, is really manageably sized. So you could take this to a pub, like we were at a cafe table and it totally fit. And it's 2-sided. So you have a calm side and a stormy side. The calm side is where the interactions of the loot are a little bit more gentle. They're still a little backstabby, but in a fun way. The stormy side is like a little bit more take that player interactive that people really look for in the original Libertalia. So, and then there's a way to make it modular. So you have tiles that can make your day half stormy, half calm. So it's really fun and really replayable. You can also see these beautiful acrylic loot tokens in the lower right. Instead of cardboard chits, you can reach into a bag and pull out these loot tokens and lay them out, and people just love them. They feel good, they look good, don't eat them. The next thing we have,
a lot like Starbursts.
I mean Starburst, and
yeah.
You know, it's the Azul effect. They're just gorgeous, sure. And you just want to interact with them.
Have you tried putting them in the freezer yet?
That is a great idea. I think that's the next step. Let's see. So yeah, we have these beautiful components. We have a really approachable experience, and it looks beautiful, and it's just super fun to sit down and play. We've added 10 new characters, so there are 40 instead of 30. I've also played this solo. I started gaming as a solo player, and the Automa Factory has really done it again here. I was a fan before I worked for Stonemaier, and it's just uncanny how they just know how to make it so that the card that you want to play is always going to be the card you shouldn't have played. It's amazing how much fun it is to feel like the Automa is playing mind games with you. I don't know how they do it. They're totally brilliant. And then the 2-player, like I said, with my daughter, it includes this midshipman tile. So you have a third player who's always interacting with you, and it works fantastically. So we really hope this becomes a new evergreen for you guys. We think this is a really strong title. We're really proud of it. We've gotten tons of great feedback, and we are just thrilled to say that it's available for pre-order now. It goes on sale April 29th, worldwide retail release. And yeah, we're just thrilled to present it to you. Thank you.
I am a I am a longtime Libertalia player. I have the original from 2012. I have a thing in my house called the Forever Shelf, and it's the one that, you know, we had the things we play the most on, the things we you know constantly play year over year on, and everything. And that original version of Libertalia was on there. So transparently, even though we're partners, I still have the right to kind of be skeptical about things, right?
Yes.
So I was a little skeptical about, like, you know, how are these changes going to affect it? And it's interesting. The first thing that kind of struck me with the hand being 6 cards instead of 9 cards, the first thing that struck me was the people that I've played Libertalia with tend to be the same group over and over and over again. And what tends to happen is, because it's such a fixed kind of set of variables in that first game, you start to learn people's tells almost like you're playing poker with them. And it really struck me that I was like, wait a minute. Okay, first off, we're going to get started a lot faster. Like there's only 6 cards to read versus 9 cards to read. There's only so many combos in this. So it's like, okay, we're going to get started a lot faster. But the second thing that struck me is, because of the extra characters and because of the way the boards are set up and the modularity is set up, there's way more variability in the game than what the original had, which means you can sit there and play the exact same game. We actually tried this. I'm not ashamed to admit this. We played with 6 characters to start with, and we played a full 3-player game. Then we finished and we reset, played the exact same game with the exact same 6 characters, and just as the starting hand, and just changed kind of the modularity of the loot. And it completely changed the gameplay and the experience for everything, which is awesome, because to me, that's what it's all about. It's about the experience that you have at the table, right?
Yep. I'm so glad to hear that. I have to imagine they did a lot of that during play testing to understand how variable it was and to really foreground that. And yeah, I love that you experimented with that.
The other thing that I think is really cool is that the 2-player version of the game is much tighter. The original game, like, honestly, my wife and I would probably not have played it 2 players and looked at it as like more of a 3 to 6 player game. But this version of it, with the rules and the amendments to it, it makes it much tighter. It makes it much more of a game, rather than, I always felt like the original Libertalia was more activity like when you were doing 2 players, if that makes sense. So there's just been a lot of really, I mean, the easiest way I can describe it, you could tell that the team from Stonemaier was like in love with this game, and that's what they put into it, right? They were like, I love this game. I want it to be even better than it already is, and do more things that it already does. And this is what we're going to do. So it's just really awesome to see that. So
yeah. And if you aren't familiar with the original version of Libertalia, this game, it's really friendly to demo. It's because every player has the same 6 cards. It's not a situation where you've each drawn a hand of cards. Now you need to explain cards, but people want to keep their cards secret. You have the same cards, so you can just show your cards. This is what this card does. This is what this other card does. And that explains what all the cards anyone needs to worry about do, because no one else, like the other 34 cards in the deck, don't matter until later or at all for this game.
And you'll all have the same cards then as well, except if you have a card that allows you to draw one out of your graveyard, and that's secret, but you've already learned what it does because you've already used it. So it's fantastic how easy it is to teach. And
this also does a really good job of balancing between walls of text and walls of symbols, right? There's some games that tend to lean on each of those guardrails, where it's like, hey, here's this game with just like a bajillion words of text, and there's so much to read and figure out. And then on the other side, it's, hey, here's this game with a bajillion symbols, and you got to go remember what all of them mean, and it takes forever to kind of learn everything and stuff like that. This really does a really good job of kind of bridging the gap in between those, where you have the symbols of the day and the evening and things like that, but you also have the basic text. And really, I mean, even the most complex of the characters is fairly easy text. Like you were saying about playing with younger players, this is something that could easily be played with younger players and not be a heavy lift for anybody, which is really cool.
I agree. If you can read, you can play this game.
My boys do love the, as you called it, nice backstabby piece. So when we played our first game with them, we played on the friendlier side of the board, and immediately my oldest son was like, "Ooh, I can do this. I can like mess with people like this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what the idea is." And they're like, "Ooh." And then when we were finishing and they flipped over the board, they were looking at the backside. They were like, "Oh, we have to play on this side now."
Awesome.
It was really cool. And to your point, Alex, too, about the whole, demo and display, this is a gorgeous game, right? I mean, this is a game that used to be about pirates and maybe more of the smuggly side of pirates, if that's a word. And now with the the whole sky pirate theme, which I'm a sucker for, I love anything like that. But it's much brighter. It's much more, I guess, higher table presence is the way to say it, really, right?
Yeah, the original was definitely taking some very clear inspiration from a certain, Pirates of the Caribbean movie franchise that we might all be familiar with. And so getting away from that the darker and the browns, and having something that's more vibrant and pleasant to touch and play with is, I mean, it's what we do at Stonemaier. Like, that's what we want for all our games. So it was really fun to do.
So I'm a big fan of dad jokes, so I have to throw this one in here. Do you know why pirates don't sing the alphabet song?
I know it has to do with the letter R, but please tell us.
Nope, it's because they always get lost at sea. Awesome. All right, so let's talk about the next one, because the next one we haven't really seen very publicly yet.
Right. So this would have, let's see, when this goes live, we'll have announced this a few days ago, but Viticulture World. This is the new cooperative expansion for Viticulture. It's so same 1 to 6 players. You are playing the same viticulture game. You're still making wines, getting grapes, and you use a lot of the components from the base game, but it's adding a cooperative element. You're playing one of several different scenarios. And as you play through each scenario, as you're having to meet individual and group goals, which really takes the game of viticulture and just flips it on its head, because this is a cooperative worker placement game that works. And as always, all the components are beautiful. We have hats, rubber hats that go on meeples that are, so the meeples are the ones from the base game, but we made these rubber hats that fit on those meeples. So for various powers and things like that. It really takes and revitalizes viticulture. It gives you a completely different gameplay experience with the same game, but just by adding an expansion. Or if you're someone who wasn't interested in viticulture, or you have a gamer who wasn't, because it's a worker placement game and competitive, well, now it's a cooperative worker placement game. So it's the same positive experience, but maybe some people who weren't interested in it before would be now. So we would have just announced this. Pre-order is going to go live in a couple of weeks here, and it's slated for a June 24th retail release date.
So I am scratching my head now, just trying to think live of any other game I can think of that is a worker placement game that started as competitive and then became cooperative with an expansion. And I honestly can't think of one off the top of my head, which is pretty cool.
The closest other game would be Near and Far. It's not exactly worker placement, but it's like worker placement-ish. And that had the cooperative expansion, but that's the closest I know of. Yeah,
but Viticulture is truly a traditional worker placement game. This is actually the game that I met Jamie through back in 2011, 2012. I was running a YouTube channel that I did video game or board game reviews on, and I ended up meeting Jamie when he was starting his first Kickstarter for Viticulture. And we loved this game. Like, it was so much fun just from a gameplay perspective. And it was even more interesting because, transparently, my wife and I, from a personal standpoint, we really don't drink a lot of wine. That's not our thing, right? And you would think to yourself, oh, well, something called Viticulture World is probably made for wine lovers. And it's like, no, there's plenty of people that play this game that don't know anything about wine or don't drink wine at all, which is really amazing. But I love the fact that you guys have taken something that is now a decade old and still, in my opinion, a very good evergreen, that continues to sell very popularly from a base game perspective, but continue to expand on it and build on it, almost in a world building type way, right? Which is really awesome.
Yeah, it's I mean, it really is impressive that it, to me at least, that like the original version was like released in 2012, and then we did the Essential Edition in 2015, but the Essential Edition is still the same game that we're selling today, and that continues to be, one of our top games. It's been consistently on the Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games, it was number 4 this year, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so
I love the hats too. The hats are, it's such a brilliant idea. It's just, you look at existing meeples and you're like, what can we do to, make them, different or mean something different in the game and everything. And that makes total perfect sense, especially for what the game is. So.
Yeah, in playtesting, it was just like we'd put little cardboard shits under them to mark everything. And it is so much more satisfying having the hats.
For sure. That's awesome. Again,
what I love about this is that Jamie was able, and the designers were able to use all of what comes with viticulture and turn it into something new, because it's so wonderful to use all those cards. Like, they're the heart of the game, right? And so of course there are new mechanics because it's cooperative and you see the hats and there's all sorts of other stuff going on, but the heart of viticulture is totally there.
Yeah.
Well, that leads to a good point. It is an expansion. It requires the base game of Viticulture to play.
Yep.
It is compatible with Tuscany, more visitors, and visitors from Rhine Valley, but none of those are required to play. It uses its own separate game boards. Like if you have Tuscany, you're not using the Tuscany board either way. You're using the Viticulture World board to play Viticulture World. But all of the cards and various components and structures and things like that are all compatible but optional.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, that actually kind of leads us into, I think, the last topic that we wanted to talk about, unless there's anything else you want to talk about before we jump into that.
I believe there's just one very small thing, because we all want to know about Wingspan.
Small thing. Come on.
Small thing. So
that's an understatement.
I know everyone wants more information, and I'm not going to give it to you now. I'm sorry. But the next Wingspan expansion is still scheduled for Q4 2022. As of this conversation, we just had the files approved at the factory like this week. So barring shipping being even worse than it was last year, we should be good for a Q4 release.
Awesome.
So per usual, we'll give more information as we get closer to the release, but we should have that for the holidays.
That's awesome. That obviously, in my opinion, inarguably one of the most successful games the last 5 years. So I'm sure everyone is very excited about that. So cool. Well, thinking about that, actually, like looking forward as you're a retailer and you're watching this and you're thinking about, what do I need to plan for moving forward? We actually wanted to take some time and talk to you a little bit about the Stonemaier Fortress program, which I am really excited about. We have started this as of the beginning of last month, March 1st. And has been extremely, extremely successful. So it's a very simple support program for retailers that work with us at GTS. If you're not familiar with it, it's very, very easy to engage. It's an opt-in, so you have to choose to opt into it. And there's basically a binary choice. There's A and B. A is right now you would choose to be a gold store, and B is you would choose to be a platinum store. There is no commitment from your end as a retailer. There is no gate to buy a certain amount of product. There is no requirement to sign up by a certain date or anything like that at all. But what it does is, being part of the program, we will automatically pre-order new copies of base games coming out for you. And I want to be very clear and stress on that it is base games. The expansions are separate from the program because transparently, there are some stores that may want to get more of the base game than the expansions, and they want to have a little more flexibility with how they're ordering the expansions. So we want to make sure to keep that flexibility in your hands as a retailer. But as being part of the program, like for Libertalia, for example, if you're a part of that program and you're a gold store, we will pre-order 3 copies for you. If you're a platinum store, we'll pre-order 6 copies for you. And the really nice thing about that is those are guaranteed copies. So if for any reason in this crazy world that we're living in right now with logistics and operations and everything that's happening from a shipping perspective, if anything drastic were to happen and we had to allocate stuff, you would still be guaranteed those units, which is very important and very key in the marketplace right now. It's very easy to sign up. You'll see on here there is a link. We'll also make sure that the link is below in the YouTube video description as well. There's also a link for FAQ, so you can find out more information. There's actually a nice video on that GTS page that Jamie put together as well that can talk a little bit about the program. But we tried to keep it very simple. We tried to keep it very oriented to, what would be beneficial for retailers. And definitely would love to hear your feedback on it. We have a lot of stores, well over 130 stores that have already signed up to be part of the Stonemaier Fortress program since we started. And that's continuing to grow. It seems like every day we get a notification of more stores that are joining in, which is awesome. But if you have questions, let us know. Of course, you can leave below in the YouTube description here. You can always reach out to me. My email is just smorris@gtsdistribution.com. Happy to help anybody with any kind of questions you have for it. Or, of course, you can always contact your sales rep and your account manager at GTS, and they'll be able to help you out as well. But really excited about this program because having kind of played in every sandbox in this industry. I've been on the retail side and ran a retail store. I've been a publisher and run a publisher, and now I'm on the distribution side. I'm a big fan of keeping things simple and a big fan of keeping things easy. And that's what we wanted to try and do with this. So really, really happy to be partnered with Stonemaier and really, really happy to be able to bring programs like this to you to make it easier for you to do everything that you need to do to keep your stores being awesome. So I don't know, anything else you want to add to that, Susanna or Alex at all?
Yes, with expansion specifically, since we talked about 2 today and potentially one that's going to be very big.
Yep.
Is if you are signed up, you are not automatically pre-ordered for the units for the expansion, but we will still guarantee them for you. So if you're signed up as part of the program and you're worried wingspan expansion, potentially hard to get, potential allocations, if you're signed up as a gold or platinum store, you will still be guaranteed 3 or 6 copies. You just have to choose to ask for them as opposed to automatically being pre-ordered for them.
Sure. And it's good to know you're not limited to that. You can order more than that, right? And we, part of our partnership as being a sole distributor for Stonemaier is Alex and I pretty much talk almost every day, feels like, which is a good thing. And part of that is making sure that we're forecasting and planning correctly. This is also going to act as a very good tool for us to be able to help forecast for future things as well. And obviously our goal is to never have to allocate anything at the launch of anything. I mean, that no one ever wants to do that. Anyone that sits back and says, I wonder what we can do to really disrupt the market, and that's their answer, like that's not a good thing. No. So our goal is to make sure that we provide these for you. So even though you may be a platinum store and we will pre-order 6 copies for you, you're by all means more than welcome to either place an online order or talk to your account manager. You can order as many as you want. We're going to do our best to make sure to get those covered. Obviously, the sooner we know about orders, the faster and better we can react to those and be able to manage those. But again, any kind of questions like that, anything that you have questions or concerns on, feel free to reach out anytime. We'll be happy to help you all out. So awesome. I think that pretty much covers it. That's pretty awesome. So we got a brand new awesome game with Libertalia, which is available for pre-order right now, going to be available on April 29th. You've got the expansion for Viticulture, which, as we talked about as the time of filming this, it'll be available to pre-order a couple of weeks right after that. And that's going to be coming out in June. You've got the Wingspan, which I could speculate. I really don't know anything about it. There's no secret sauce that anyone has read me into, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome given how well the other 2 have done for the game as well. But it's really exciting to see a lot more stuff coming out from quite frankly, the things that really sell the best from Stonemeier's catalog, right? Like we talked about, viticulture has been around for a decade now. It's amazing to think about that. I didn't have hair when I met Jamie either in 2012. I was still bald then. So
were you like 12 when you started shaving your head?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think I was 30 when I started. So that was it. So I was young, but not too young. So, but well, awesome. Well, Alex, Susanna, thank you both very much for taking the time to come talk to us. Obviously, like we've talked about offline, these are never a one and done type thing. As Stonemaier has more things coming out, be happy to have you guys back, talk to the retailers about the new products that are coming up. I have a hunch you guys will be doing this for quite some time, given the track record and how everything is.
Absolutely.
Retailers, thank you. Really do appreciate you taking the time to join. I know everyone's schedule is chaotic and hectic, but appreciate all the time that you offer to us to learn about the products and the games that we can offer for your stores. And like I mentioned, if anyone has questions, definitely feel free. Let us know below. Happy to get back to you through YouTube. Or again, if you want to email and ask any questions, my email is just smorris, MORRIS @gtsdistribution.com. But until we see you next time, thanks so much for joining. Have a great week in your stores. Take care.